you could shoot some YouTube videos while you're doing it. So I had enough nous to sort of say, well, this sounds really amazing, but what is the role called? And they said, we don't know. We've never had anyone do this before. So I did something that at the time it was a master blow. I branded the role. And I said, I think it's a clinician role. I think I'll be the Orange Amplifiers clinician, which makes it official. It lends a weight of authority to the position. And I joined the Orange Amps forum, and I started chatting to and making friends, genuine friends, with the people on the forum, and said, hey, I'm really excited. I've just become the Orange Amplifiers clinician. I'm going to be demonstrating the amps at these different various trade shows. It's going to be really cool. And they were like, oh my God, I can't believe you're on the forum talking to us. This is really exciting. Thank you so much. What do you know about this amp and that amp and this amp? And I had to go learn a whole bunch of stuff. And then I said to Damon, how much am I going to get paid? And they said, well, we're going to pay your flights and your food and put you in a hotel. So that's, several £1,000s or whatever. And I said, but what am I going to get paid to do the work? And they said, well, we hadn't thought about that. Maybe £500. And I was like, absolutely. That sounds brilliant. Thank you so much.
That was great.
I'll take £500. That's incredible. So I snapped up the £500, and it was my first official role for a brand. And what I had done is made a piece of marketing content. It had attracted a brand, and then they had given me some money. So in a way, I'd made £500 profit from making one video that took me, an hour or two.
Back then, was YouTube what we refer to now as monetized?
No.
So there was no advertising. There was no advertising,
nothing.
sharing, nothing.
No.
So you were really doing it as it was pure advertising. It
100%.
was just marketing.
Yeah. Well, I was doing it in truth to hide from a gradually failing relationship. I was locking myself away upstairs in a room and just kind of having an outlet for my frustrations.
The truth comes out.
Well, it's all the truth, But I really enjoyed it. I got bitten by the bug. Back in the day, you'd see these little medallions that told you your ranking in YouTube. And there weren't that many YouTubers. I mean, there were still thousands. But to see, number 2 or number 1, it was such a rush.
Right.
And I was hooked on the whole thing. And I would make a video every single day, sometimes 2 a day. And the subscribers were pouring in. I didn't really keep an eye on the subscribers. I was really focused on views.
Things have really changed in that way, it seems.
Yes. I think people have got their sights in the wrong areas.
We're going to talk about that too.
That's a good idea.
So at what point did the advertising, the monetization, I think is a phrase that we use, when did that come in?
I don't know, because
you don't remember the first day that you're like, wow, I just clicked this button and then they're going to start sending me
I remember getting an email from them saying we're going to start putting ads on the videos, but I pretty much like everyone else at the same time kind of thought, well, we're going to get less views. We might get 50p a day or something. It's not going to be anything useful. This is probably more of a hindrance, because I was doing this to market the guitar tuition.
Right. So the ads were almost getting in the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it became also a mechanism for me to promote my band. I was in a band called the Black Hand, and we were doing gigs and tours, and it was really cool, and I loved that band. We recorded 3 times at Abbey Road and put out some good music and had some really amazing times with Gavin, Ian, and Graham and Oliver. That was great. And but I do remember signing up the details for the advertising, putting in my bank details, and thinking, well, I'll never make any money from that.
And then, do you remember the first time that it was at that point it was a direct deposit into your account?
Yes. No, it was a check. They posted you a check from Google. I didn't even know.
So Google had. So this happened after Google purchased YouTube, because YouTube was a separate entity.
To the best of my knowledge, it would have been, because I remember going, I didn't know that Google owned YouTube. I had no idea. And it was this little white envelope from Google, and I was like, what the hell is this? And then inside was a check. I think it was like $150 or something. Something like that. Yeah.
And did it show you a report of how long that it took, or you just got a check?
It was for a month. And it was, no, it wasn't for a month. They gave you an amount of money you needed to earn before they paid out. And it must have taken some time before it came to that
Right.
much money, and it was $150. And
But then you were essentially though getting paid for back time.
Yes.
Well, okay. So
Yeah. So the great thing about YouTube is that everything you do stays there forever, and it continually works for you and brings you revenue. So I imagine it to be like a fleet of salesmen, and every guy
interesting, yeah.
brings you in, £1 a month, or if you're lucky, £150 a month. And sure enough, when you've got 12,
he's out there shaking down viewers everywhere.
that's right, yeah. But when you got 1,200 videos and you start getting, £10 a month per video, or £150, it really adds up. So that One Orange amplifier video, the whole process of going through it and then basically when I started going to the shows and I was videoing the shows, people loved the content because for the first time I was showing the inside of the guitar playing industry to YouTube. I was filming the NAMM show, filming music.
Right. Things they had never had the opportunity to see before.
Yeah, they'd never seen it before. And they were following me, and I was just keeping it real and being, hey, how you doing? I'm currently in America, going to play some stuff for Orange. Here's a little clip of me shredding the same lick.
And they would go crazy over it.
Yeah.
And then the comments too. That's the other thing, is that the more comments you get, the more it attracts other viewers, right? Isn't that how it?
And back then, because there were so few people, I would recognize the people that commented and go, hey man, how you doing? Nice to see you. And then they would come and see me at some of the shows.
Oh, neat.
And I would meet them and they'd go, yeah, I'm this guy on YouTube, and I commented, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that comment. So it was much easier to have a relationship with the viewers. But that process taught me a lesson, which is that it's not just, it was the association and the marketing that got me a relationship with the company that paid me revenue. And at the time, I thought that was the only way of doing it.
This is important stuff, people. Keep going, Rob. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But
That's
I just
fine.
want them to really pay attention to this, because this is key to everything we're talking about on this podcast.
So the guitar lessons were pouring in. That was really doing good. In fact, it got to the point where I couldn't really cope with teaching all the lessons because I was busy doing clinics and demonstrations. Another company called Barnes and Mullins, which was a distribution company that sold a really cool acoustic line called Faith Acoustic Guitars. They contacted me and said, hey, would you want to do some videos for us? We'll send you the guitars. You can film them at home. And I thought, well, that's just the easiest job on earth. I mean,
right.
I'm definitely going to receive free guitars, make videos. And I ended up with like 3 or 4 acoustic guitars at home, and I just couldn't believe it. It was just amazing to me. And they were paying me, £500 a video, and they were really happy with the views. And I was doing a lot of sort of CTAs, getting people to log onto their Facebook or their MySpace page, and because it was still a thing. And Twitter was a thing then, And I got a great relationship with them. And then Marshall Amplification, when I eventually left Orange. And it was all going really good. It's still, everything went great. But the money from the videos grew.
The advertising money from the videos.
So every video, in case you don't know about this, every single video that you put up, when you become authorized to collect revenue, they can put pre-roll advertising at the front of the video. They can put an advertising banner at the side. They can have intermittent advertising.
The ones that stop in between.
Yes, the irritating ones. And you get paid whenever somebody sees an advertisement, or if someone clicks on an advert. And if varying advertisers would really like to target your channel and there's a bidding war, you get a cut in the bidding war, which is great if you're in a small pond.
I suppose.
Yes.
But you don't know this until it's all happened.
I don't know.
So you just put content out and hope that these things manifest.
All you could do is put content out and do it in a way that was sustainable. So you had to enjoy making the content. If it was stuff that you just like, oh God, it's really hard. I really can't bring myself to shoot another video. It's going to be awful. Then it would never have worked. But what I did was I just did things I enjoyed and didn't do things I didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
And it was really hard work. Like there were days when I went to bed at 3 a.m. I was waking up at 7 a.m. and I was working all the way through. But it was stuff that I was fanatical about it. And the money grew and it became £800. I remember hitting £1,000 and thinking, well, that's it. I've made it. I'm never.
And this is 1,000 pounds a month, essentially.
Yes. Yeah. And I was thinking, this is it. I'm never going to make any more than this. This is the ceiling. This is like being signed to a record label, because very few artists would get signed and get £1,000 a month.
Right.
That wasn't a loan. And I ended up changing the guitar tuition to be more of an experience. So I called it, my fans call me, for whatever reason, the Monkey Lord. And so I came up with this idea of the Monkey Lord experience, where a fan would come to me, I'd take them for breakfast, we'd have a really long 2-hour sort of developmental chat over breakfast, then they'd come back to the house and I'd teach them guitar for 2 hours, and then they would go back. So they had 4 hours with me, and I would charge them, I think it was £50. And then that grew to £100,
wow.
And then it grew to £150. And I couldn't teach enough of them. They just wanted to come, and they really wanted more of the experience with me. That was really what they wanted.
And this all just blossomed from putting a few advertisements, out on
YouTube videos.
Well, it was actually MySpace, right? To
begin with, it was MySpace, yeah.
Exactly. And then moved over to YouTube.
So a few things changed. I ended up getting lots of relationships with brands. They all wanted to work with me. There were many times when I had to make a difficult decision about sort of really,
choosing something.
Well, yeah, choosing a brand to be loyal to, or being free to work for many brands. And that was a difficult decision for me. And I definitely had to grow up a lot and learn to focus on being a businessman rather than just a guy that, loves stuff.
Yeah.
But I always made the decision based upon my gut feeling for gear that I liked. So, for example, there was an incident. I won't tell the brand, but there was a brand that offered me, at the time, great money to do review work and be exclusive. I turned them down because I just didn't like the product. Or I didn't get excited about the product.
Yeah.
And that was difficult, But I would live for January, for the NAMM show. Because January, when I went there with my little tiny handycam, I was the only guy, and I mean the only guy at the time, running around filming the guitar stuff. And then literally running back to the hotel, the Roadway Inn and Suites, South Harbour Boulevard.
The same hotel every time. Yeah.
And edit the videos like a madman, and then run to a Starbucks and desperately try to upload on the shitty Wi-Fi. And I would get videos that would be the most viewed for the month, for 2 months. I never forget filming Metallica's Iron Cross guitar, getting like 100,000 views in a week.
Because these were things that people just out in the general public, the musicians,
never got to see.
Right.
Yeah.
And this was like pure video of it happening in real time. And
yes. And back then, the NAMM show was a place where retailers did deals with brands to buy gear. And I genuinely feel that I changed that relationship to be more of a social media promotional vibe through the work that I did, because the retailers couldn't film the stuff and put it on YouTube. They're too busy. The brands couldn't film stuff and put it on YouTube. They were too busy. The people viewing, walking around and doing their thing, didn't have the platform that I had. So I was in a really strong and unique position.
That is awesome. I'm going to do something really mean to everybody who's listening right now. We're going to wrap up this particular podcast, because I always like to be respectful of everybody and make sure that we keep these to 30 minutes so they can listen to them on their drive or whatever. But we're going to tease them a little bit with Rob's going to stick around. And if you listen to the next podcast, we're going to talk a little bit more about the nuts and bolts of how all this happens. I appreciate it. You're listening on Talk North Network. I want to say thanks to all of my Talk North compadres and everybody who's helping at that network, who's hosting the show. And I thank you for listening. Go to the next show and listen up to more information about how you could possibly make some money on YouTube.